Everyone's convinced Riot's MMO is going to change everything, but what if it doesn't? What if despite the hype, Riot drops the ball and we end up with another dead MMO? We all want Riot to win and the MMO space needs a savior, but putting that much hope into one game is how we have gotten burned time and time again. Let's talk about what no one else is willing to talk about, how this could all go wrong, and most importantly, what Riot needs to do to get this right. This video isn't about hating the Riot MMO. Obviously, I want it to succeed or this entire YouTube channel likely wouldn't even exist. But if we're being honest, MMOs fail all the time, and Riot isn't immune. Today, we're diving into what could actually go wrong and why it matters. Riot isn't just any other game dev studio. They've built some of the most successful games in the world. League of Legends, which hosts massive competitive leagues that oftentimes even surpass traditional sports. Valorant, a tactical team-based hero game that really shook up the genre. And Arcane didn't just succeed, it dominated. It won multiple traditional media awards, including multiple primetime Emmy awards. But none of that was an MMO. So all that being said, the expectations are wildly high. This isn't just any other MMO either. This is the League MMO. Many people are calling it the next World of Warcraft, a title that has been sought after by every single bright-eyed MMO developer over the last 20 years, all of which have ultimately failed. I have heard many refer to the Riot MMO as the last hope for the genre, so to put it lightly, the expectations are incredibly high. But what happens when expectations get too high? Here's the thing about MMOs. They are by far the hardest genre in gaming to get right, because to put it bluntly, they are not just one singular genre, but instead an amalgamation of many different genres. You need expansive world building, engaging combat that can last for thousands of hours, endless systems, balance patches, and more. Not to mention the fact that all of this needs to be available on day one when the game releases, or it will be chewed up and spit out by the MMO player base in just a matter of weeks. So what are some of the largest pitfalls previous MMOs have made, and what can Riot Games do to prevent falling into the same traps as so many that have came before them? Overpromising is one of these problems, and many MMOs have succumbed to it. And personally, I think it's an area that Riot is going to have a pretty easy time avoiding, just simply because they don't tell us anything. You can't be disappointed if you don't know anything about the game at all. That said, when they do get closer to releasing information, I think it's important to learn lessons from games like Ashes of Creation that have built massive hype by promising revolutionary features for the genre. However, after years of development and repeated delays, many of these ambitious systems remain either unproven or underdelivered. What was once seen as the next big evolution in the MMORPG genre is now viewed by some as a case study in overpromising, leaving longtime supporters feeling disillusioned, fatigued, and unsure whether the final product will ever truly match the vision that was sold to them. Another area is alienating the fringe player bases on the spectrum of casual to hardcore. One of the biggest traps in modern MMOs is just going too casual. Studios try to appeal to everyone, especially that broad, casual audience. And in doing so, they dilute everything that makes MMOs compelling to begin with. Yet, on the flip side, if you go too hardcore, you risk overcomplicating what could be engaging gameplay and instead swamping your player base in needlessly complicated systems and mechanics. Finding a sweet spot between casual and hardcore will likely alienate the most extreme fans on each side of this spectrum, but it will draw in the largest player base. You know, that's what the first M in MMORPG is. How many times have we seen a new MMO come out with a solid launch, a great leveling experience, but then when players start to hit max level, there's nothing to do. No raids, no PvP loops, no incentives to log in daily or build out your character any further. There's just no long-term goals, just silence. MMOs don't live or die by their first 20 hours. They live or die by what happens after you've finished those 20 hours. If Riot doesn't nail the endgame, and I mean PvE, PvP, life skills, everything. Players will turn over, and they will turn over fast. Now, close your eyes and imagine this nightmare scenario with me. Riot makes a beautiful, immersive, and expansive MMO, and then absolutely floods it with monetization traps, gamba, gacha, battle passes, XP boosts, crafting skips, loot boxes, premium currencies, or even worse, actual power you can buy with real-world money. Pay to win destroys long-term retention, kills PvP integrity, and burns trust instantly. Riot says they want to avoid this, but they've also normalized aggressive monetization in League and Valorant. So yeah, it's a real concern. Luckily, aside from maybe rune pages years ago, they have steered clear from any pay-to-win mechanics within their games. But the industry has also normalized burying pay-to-win in so many various currencies within the recent MMO landscape that it is a real concern with any new MMO that is potentially releasing. And you know what kills an MMO's immersion and economy faster than terrible monetization and pay to win? Bots. Gold sellers, automated farming scripts, and resource bots flooding the market. If Riot doesn't have extremely strong anti-botting systems in place, the economy, especially with the crafting, player trading, and open market systems that were quietly confirmed in this video, will collapse. Gold sellers, content carries, and bots are a cycle that can quickly kill a game in months or even weeks sometimes. Luckily, and say what you want to about it, but Riot's Vanguard anti-cheat has made huge strides in preventing bots, cheats, scripters, and aimbotters in League of Legends and Valorant. They will need to make sure that Vanguard is strong for the release of the MMO to prevent the potential economical disasters, especially if they plan to release on the suspected free-to-play model. MMOs aren't just about combat or loot. They're also about the people, about shared experiences, about forming guilds, alliances, and rivalries. That's what makes them different from single-player RPGs. There's plenty of great RPGs out there like Baldur's Gate or Elden Ring that have great and expansive immersive worlds. But what sets MMOs apart is the player base that is playing them all at the same time in the world that you're in. If Riot builds an MMO that's hyper instance, solo friendly, and has no real incentive for grouping up and playing with other players, you'll log in, play for 30 minutes, and feel alone. They need guild tools and social systems, as well as open world dynamics, bringing the player base together as opposed to separating them out. No real sense of community is a slow death for an MMO, and you need the good and the bad, the great grouping experiences, and the player friction as well. Give the player base a reason to talk, trade, group, argue, and connect. But what's the biggest risk of them all? Launching too safe, too shallow. Just another theme park MMO with good combat, but nothing to keep people coming back. And Riot needs to figure out what that gameplay loop is that they're going to add that separates them and sets them apart from every other MMO that has failed before them. But what do you think? Do you think Riot has it in them to create a massive open world MMORPG? They have a lot working against them, but I do think given the people that they have hired and the potential of the Runeterra universe, that they can really pull it together and make something truly magical in the MMORPG genre. What concerns do you have? Let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, comment down below whatever you feel like. Just say Squirtle or something. I don't really care. Let's upset Nintendo. As always, my name is Spun, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.